Hello and welcome to an episode of Drinking the Kool-Aid. This is a comedy podcast dedicated to the mysterious. My name is Cassidy.
Yeehaw! I'm Amanda.
That's Amanda. Amanda's in full cartoon mode right now.
Well, I literally, I don't know how many more times I'm going to say literally, am a cowboy right now.
You are?
Yes.
Why?
Just because I'm in cowboy mode. We booked our flights for your bachelorette party.
Yes, we did.
I have an entire list going of decorations I'm going to get. I can't wait.
She has more of a vision than I don't care.
Don't
really
worry.
At all.
Don't worry. You don't have to do anything.
I'm not worried.
You're good. All you have to do is just say, okay.
As long as you don't make me wear anything stupid or pink.
I can't promise it's not going to be a little stupid.
Okay, I'll wear anything stupid in the house. I'm not wearing anything stupid
only in the
outside.
house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll wear anything stupid in the house.
No, we're going to be silly and stupid in the house.
Yeah, I'm not going to be silly
That's where
and
these
stupid
decorations are.
Okay.
They're only for the house. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect.
Don't worry. It'll be fun.
Yes, it'll be very fun. I'm excited.
You know I'm a decorations picture taker, all of those things.
Oh, I know, and you know I'm not. So.
I know. But this is what you get for making me one of your matron of honors.
Your matron of honor.
Yeah.
Well, the other one isn't matron. She's just maid.
I know. Well, I can't say matron and maid. I mean, I can, I guess, but it's just a lot.
You're the matron of honor. It actually makes it easier on me because then that way it's not two maids.
That's
I get
true.
One matron, one maid.
That's so true.
You know, keeping things classy.
Why are those like the names of the things?
I don't know. And then for dudes, what is it? Best man and groomsman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that
Like,
makes
why
sense.
is it a best man, but then a maid of honor? And a matron?
Like maid just means like lady, and the matron just means like married lady.
I know, but doesn't it feel like it means something else?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like a maid and a matron, right? Yeah.
I guess like my fair maid.
Yeah, like my maiden. You're a maiden.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, now do you feel better?
Yeah, that changes things.
You're a matron because you're the married one.
I know.
Why does that make you so upset?
I don't know. I want to be called something else.
You can think of a new fun name that you want to go by.
Okay.
You can go by that.
The cowgirl.
There you go.
Of honor.
She's the cowgirl of honor. The cow lady.
The cow lady. I don't know.
The cowtrin of honor because you're married.
The cowtrin of honor. That's me. That's what I want to be.
Perfect. Okay. Sold.
Oh my God. Should I wear a cowboy hat and cowboy boots to your wedding?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
I don't care. That's what's feeling fancy free.
Wow. You're really letting me take the reins.
Oh, I see what you did there. Sorry, I was trying to see how to, okay, there you go. I'm on there. I had to turn my do not disturb on.
Ah, yes.
Forgot to. People were texting. It was annoying me.
You're too popular.
Just too damn popular.
She poops at the parties.
Uh-huh. Oh, I have a fun fact, and for once it's actually fun.
It better be.
Okay, so there's this orangutan.
You know how much I love orangutans.
I know. And he was a good boy, really good boy. So he got a really bad cut on his face. And so he went over to like these plants and he mixed all these different like herbs and spices and stuff together and chewed them up into a paste and then applied it to his wound and it healed his wound.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor. He's Dr. Orangutan.
Dr. Orangutan, MD.
Yeah. And it was like the same plants and stuff that like indigenous people from the area would use in their own medicines. So like, works because they're like biotic or antiseptic or whatever.
The way I love orangutans so much. They're so cute. And now look at them. They're doctors. They're scientists. They're herbal
You literally
geniuses.
can't hold a orangutan down.
No. And why would you want to?
You know what? Monkeys in STEM,
One time I went to the zoo and I saw an orangutan pieced together by himself. I literally watched him do this. Someone dropped their phone from like the ridge above because they were looking.
Shit.
This orangutan got a stick and literally like bent it and put his stick outside the thing to try to grab the phone and move it towards him.
Did he get it?
It took a while,
But he did.
he got close to it, but I don't think he could get it through the cage.
Oh, okay.
But oh my gosh, I have a video somewhere. I think of it on my phone.
Yeah, that's
because I
so
was
cute.
literally like, this is amazing, Sam. Look at this. Look at this orangutan. Look what he's doing.
He's built a tool
He's
right before our
amazing.
eyes.
Like they're just the coolest.
It always makes me think of how beluga whales and like dolphins and stuff, like if they see people drop their phones in the ocean, they'll like bring them back up in their mouths. It's like so polite.
Who's the beluga whale you covered?
That whale that everyone thought was maybe a Russian spy.
Yeah.
I can't remember its name.
Holdemir.
Or something.
Vladimir. Something
like that.
He was cool.
He was cool.
Oh, man.
And he did do that. He saved multiple people's phones and a GoPro.
God, I love animals.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this monkey is putting in the work. And I feel like everyone needs to hear about this.
I literally love him.
Listen, when we ruin everything for ourselves, the orangutans can come and take our place and hopefully do a better job.
Listen, I am down to just live Planet of the Apes style, be immersed in their culture.
In monkey culture.
They can take care of me. Like, I'm ready. I'm
You'd
ready.
Be a maid in a monkey hotel.
I would.
There you go. You could be a matron.
Except the matron of the monkey hotel.
hotel.
The only problem is monkeys like to throw poop around. And then I'm going to be cleaning poop up off of walls. And I don't know if
we've
I can
had
handle
enough
that.
poop for the year after last week's episode.
I know. You guys, I'm sorry. Everyone was really upset. I'm really sorry we talked about poop so much. Poop and farts. We'll stop this episode. No more poop talk.
No more. She just really can't help bringing it up.
I can't make promises that I'm not going to bring it up at some point in this episode, but I will really try to not.
Thank you. Thank you for trying. You know what I mean? We're all just here on this floating rock, jettisoning through space, trying our hardest.
I'm only human. I'm not a fucking Dr. Orangutan.
I'm only human after all. Put the blame on me. There you go. See? That's you. That's you and your orangutans.
Yeah.
You could be a backup singer for an orangutan band, maybe.
What about that movie about that guy who was like a singer and he created this movie all about, it's like a biopic, but instead of having it be a person, he decided it was going to be a monkey.
Robbie Williams.
Yeah. I could be his backup singer.
That was such a moment on the internet.
That was a choice.
Were you involved in any of that? Like, did you see any of the discourse? Oh, this is where my hair tie went.
Oh, look at that.
I was looking for it. So I got my backup on. Did you watch any of that discourse about this movie?
I saw a little bit of it, and honestly, I saw the trailer and I was like, it doesn't look that bad.
Well, so the thing that people were getting pissed off about is he's like a British pop star or whatever, right? Like he was in like a boy band, basically. Like
I think he was like one of those one-hit wonder type of guys.
Well, he was like he's like the most famous dude ever.
Oh, really?
There, yeah.
Oh,
he's like sells out stadiums and stuff all the time. He's not a one-hit wonder,
but he's not a monkey.
But when Americans saw them, they were like, "Who's Robbie Williams and why is he even getting a movie? Like, who the fuck cares about this guy?" And then all these British people were like, "What are you talking about? Robbie Williams is like the most famous
pop star
ever. He like holds the Guinness World Record for like most ticket sales ever or something."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And so all these British people were being like, "You guys, okay, we get it, Americans. Stop pretending like you don't know who Robbie Williams is."
Oh, it was like a joke.
No, nobody knows who he is.
Oh.
British people thought we had to be like trolling.
Oh.
And then, the classic British versus American, everyone had to get really weird and competitive about it.
Yes, of course.
And I heard the movie's fine. I heard it's like a good movie.
I think it's just a very funny choice to make, to be like, I'm going to make myself a CGI monkey.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing is like I was reading an interview with him and he was like everyone was like, "Why did you do that?" He was like, "I just thought it was more disturbing to see a monkey do these things." And then
you're not wrong.
And then I was like, probably, watching a monkey do cocaine sounds really upsetting actually.
Honestly, it makes me want to see the movie more. So he's right, actually.
You know what? Yeah, he did it. You did your job, Robbie.
Because would I want to see the movie if it was just a biopic about this guy I don't know? No. But if it's about a monkey doing cocaine,
yeah,
I do want to see that.
And like having sex with his friends' wives and stuff. I think that's a plot point. I don't know because I don't know Robbie Williams' life.
Okay, we're watching this.
Throw it on.
We are watching this.
Sydney, line it up for right after.
I'm like actually really interested.
That movie was nominated, I think, for an Oscar.
Oh my gosh.
For like best CGI monkey.
Wow. Okay. Hold on.
It was for like effects, like
if
special
Planet
effects.
of the Apes didn't win for best CGI monkey,
They
then I
should have
don't.
made, honestly, this is the first year I'm going to say it, they should have made a separate CGI monkey category.
They really should have.
What's it called? A different man, a better man,
A different monkey.
a better man. Better man, that's what it's called. Nominated. Yeah, it was nominated for best visual effects.
Wow.
It was nominated against Planet of the Apes.
Okay. Now I definitely am watching this.
Yeah, this is your rivalry of the season.
I'm sorry. The CGI in Planet of the Apes is sensational.
Yeah, I didn't see the new one, but I saw enough clips from it to know.
It's so good. Like, it's even in the first one, it's good. But then, like, obviously, it gets better and better throughout the movies. They look like real freaking monkeys.
They
okay?
do, yeah. And that's saying something because I feel like CGI has gotten so shitty recently. Like, I was watching Jurassic Park, like the OG Jurassic Park.
Yes.
And it looks so good. It's like animatronics and shit. And like, it just looks so amazing.
I love
And now you
animatronics.
watch a movie that has like all this CGI stuff, like the Hobbit films, and I'm like, boo, hiss.
Also, I feel like people just put CGI in movies now, like for things that shouldn't and don't need to be
not
CGI.
shoot anything? Do we not shoot anything in normal places? Like, why are you on a soundstage for like for it to be like a neighborhood? Neighborhoods already exist. You don't need to create a fake magical neighborhood.
Real.
Just shoot it in a neighborhood.
Yes. And I miss prosthetics.
Ugh, I miss prosthetics and animatronics so bad.
Like,
It
I'm
just looks
sorry.
so much better.
Genuinely, I would rather every single movie look like freaking Halloween Town than all the CGI.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad we're back to our boomer opinions. I think this is really important. I don't even know anymore if they're boomer opinions or this is just how millennials are now.
We are the new boomers.
We
though.
are boomers, yeah.
Like, millennials are. We need a name for that.
Yeah, we need a more derogatory term.
Yeah.
For us,
Yeah.
millennials. I don't know.
Matrons.
Matron millennials.
Matrons of the
the
millennials. The millennium.
Millennium matrons. I'll get merch made, don't worry. We came, we saw, we hated it.
That's good. That's real good.
Okay, so for best special effects for the Oscars this year, it was Dune Part 2, Alien Romulus, Better Man, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. And Dune Part 2 won. Which
I've never
that
seen
makes sense. That those movies, the special effects in those movies are pretty fucking awesome. I was hoping it would be Alien Romulus just because I loved it. I loved Alien Romulus. I actually just did a whole thing with Stephen Ray Morris for his podcast.
Oh yeah,
about it. So we'll let you know when that's coming out because Amanda's going to be on his show too about the Jurassic Park hotties.
Yes.
So we'll let you know when those are coming out and obviously link them everywhere. But yeah, Dune, you never saw any of the Dune movies? I'm surprised your husband didn't make you watch them.
He saw them.
Yeah, he loves them.
Yeah.
He would not stop talking about them, frankly.
That it's just not my thing.
I like movies like that. The first one is good. The second one's much better just because there's more stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you watch the Lord of the Rings movies, like the Fellowship of the Ring is a lot of setup, right? Like you're getting a lot of like backstory and like the more calm parts. And then, you know, the action starts happening in the second and third ones.
Yeah, I don't need action though. I need the love story.
Oh, then I think you'd like it.
There's a love story?
Girl, yeah.
Oh.
There's twisted, fucked up love story happening.
Oh, okay.
One of them is Zendaya. And the other one's Florence Pugh, I think.
Oh. Yeah, I do love all these people. And there isn't what's his name? Timothy Chalamet
He's the lead, yeah.
in there. Okay. Okay.
I mean, the whole cast is a great, like, who's in it? Let's see. Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh.
Austin Butler.
Yeah, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken,
Christopher
Stellan
Walken.
Skarsgård,
Wow.
Javier Bardem.
Wow.
Come on. I think you'd like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it a try. It's on
Maybe-
like Max or whatever.
Maybe I should.
I have faith in you. You are always surprising me with movies you randomly like.
Yeah. I mean, because sometimes they might not be my cup of tea, but if they're good, I can appreciate a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, yeah, even if you're like, well, I wouldn't like watch it all the time, like, but I liked it. Like, that's
Yeah.
how I felt about like Wicked. I'm like, I would never like just throw it on or whatever to watch it, but I'm like, I'm not dumb. I can see a good movie.
Yeah, and it's like
talented people when
You're
I
like,
see it.
oh, it's entertaining,
And
but
guess
it's just
what?
not something I
Guys,
love.
Not everything needs to be for you all the time. Not everything is for you.
So true.
Sometimes it's for other people who are different than you, and that's okay. Doesn't
That's
mean you have to hate
okay.
it. You can just be like, It's not for me. Doesn't mean that it's bad or stupid or whatever, you know. Things can just be not for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get over for some people.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is coming from me, a certified hater.
A matron of the millennial.
Yeah.
Okay.
The millennium. Why can I not say it? Millennium matron.
The millennium.
Yeah. Oh, did anybody say anything fun when you asked online if there's anything people wanted us to talk about?
Not really. One person asked me or said, I want to know Amanda's thoughts on Jonas Con. And I'm pissed that I can't be there. Frankly.
I don't know what that means.
The
I've
Jonas
never
Brothers
even heard of this.
Are having a convention, a Jonas Brothers convention at the end of this month.
Why and where?
In New Jersey.
And why? Just to do it?
Celebrate their 20th anniversary.
Got it. Okay.
And it's like, here's the thing. Okay, I will actually give you my thoughts, okay? Here's the thing. Would I love to go? 100%. If I had the means to be able to go, I wouldn't be able to because I would get ridiculed for being at a Jonas Brothers convention. So truthfully, I'm glad I don't have the means to go.
It is very 16-year-old girl
I
behavior.
would get literally
She doesn't.
shamed so hard.
She doesn't have the emotional means to go.
No, I don't have the physical means or the emotional
Yeah, she doesn't have
means.
the financial, the emotional, the physical. No means.
I wouldn't survive.
No means available.
Frankly, all of it would just be too much for me. So,
yeah.
But I will be watching videos and pictures from it.
Hey, maybe it'll be like a total disaster.
I hope it is.
Usually like the first con, I mean, they're celebrities, so you would hope that they would do it right. But usually like people's first conventions like that they attempt to put together are disasters.
There is a lot of discourse on the internet around it where
Ooh.
people are saying that it's very unorganized.
Yeah, that's always the problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's a dud and then I'll be like, heh.
Yeah. Do you remember when they tried to make like DashCon, which was the Tumblr one, and it was like such a disaster?
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. See, that's the
So
kind.
you were a Tumblr babe.
I was a Tumblr girl. Yeah. I had a couple blogs that you guys probably followed, and you didn't know it was me.
Oh my God.
I was one of those girls.
What if, because I was on Tumblr for a bit. What if there's like, the invisible string theory? Mm-hmm. What if there's one between us and I followed you on Tumblr and read your stuff?
Or like retweet or reposted like my aesthetic posts, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
I would very much doubt you followed anything that I was into.
You don't know that.
It was like a lot of like dark academia stuff and stuff about books.
Oh, then maybe not.
Probably not. Like Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I was not into that.
Like
No.
I'm going to assume when you were on Tumblr briefly, it was more like celebrities and like girly
Yes.
pop aesthetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Different sides of the internet.
Yeah.
Forever.
All I did was repost things that were of those like little dolls that you would make.
Oh, with the different outfits and hairs and stuff.
then you would make them to like look like you and your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my thing.
Okay, got it. Yeah. You probably didn't. I love the idea of it.
I just want there to be an invisible string.
Really, really into vampires until like a startlingly embarrassing age.
I mean, Twilight's cool.
Yeah, but Twilight was not cool when I was into Twilight.
Oh.
Like Twilight became cool recently again because it's like ironic, right?
I mean, I was into it when it first came out.
Yeah, like it was like cool, and then they made like the first movie, and then everyone was like, "These are lame," and anyone who's into them are lame. And then I was like, "Yeah, that's so embarrassing." Who would be?
You're like, I would never watch that.
Who would be into vampires? Definitely not me, because I am so cool and normal, and would never do that.
I think vampires are sexy.
I love vampires. Obviously, I grew up on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was my favorite TV show ever. And then I was really into Twilight. I read all the Twilight books. The Twilight books came out when I was like 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like that was like the span of them. So it was like exactly the age that
I think I actually
you're
read
into
those.
that.
Maybe. Did I read those? Probably not. But maybe.
I think the only reason I was allowed to read them because I remember there being like some controversy in my family about like if that was acceptable is because the author was Mormon.
Oh.
And so my parents were like, oh, okay, like she's a Mormon. She's not going to put anything like overtly sexual or like anything weird in these books. And so I was allowed to read them.
Oh, but this is a Mormon with like secret fantasies.
Well, she is clearly a self-insert for Bella.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, if you know about Mormonism, which like I do, one of my best friends in high school is a Mormon, and I grew up around in like a majority Mormon area, like Mormon, most people I knew who were religious at all were Mormon. And there's a lot of like Mormon vibes in there, and like stuff where you're like, oh yeah, that's like so Mormon. Culturally very Mormon.
Speaking of Mormons, if you guys want to watch an insane documentary, watch the Ruby Frankie doc on Hulu.
Oh, we're gonna do an episode where we talk about it on Patreon
because it's crazy.
So go watch it. It's like 3 parts, 3 episodes on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then probably next week we'll have an episode of us on Patreon talking about it, just all 3 episodes together, kind of like we did with
Gabby Petito.
The Gabby Petito one. Yeah. So go check that out and watch it. Holy moly. It's so crazy. It's just, we live in such a different world now where like everybody is filming themselves all the time. Like there's just so much footage.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't ever really even delete anything. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when she deleted all that stuff, I'm sure she didn't just save all of that incriminating footage.
Yeah, and people like recorded it and saved it.
Yeah.
And
well, but all the stuff that was like unaired stuff. So the way computers work and like hard drives work, when you delete something like off your computer, let's say, it still is recoverable on the computer until that space needs to be used up by something else, whether that be a program or more video or whatever. So unless you're like filling something up and then deleting stuff and then immediately filling it back up, like it's recoverable.
yeah.
So yeah, so there's like a lot of stuff on there that I'm sure once again that she cut out and tried to delete off of raw footage, or maybe she just kept all of her raw footage. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff on there where you're like, holy shit.
It was really, really crazy.
I have a lot of very strong opinions about not only family bloggers and mommy bloggers, but people who enjoy their content. And if you want the unedited version of how I feel about that, go to Patreon and listen to our coverage of that, because I have a lot of strong feelings about that portion of the internet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could probably guess just based on anything I've ever said ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely ready to talk about that one for sure.
And speaking of people who will have access to all of this fun Patreon stuff, which we also have a bonus episode that's out this week.
Oh, yeah.
That is really fun. You guys should go listen to it. I covered not John Belushi, sorry, his BFF,
yes.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
And his whole supernatural ass family.
That was a really, really fun story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what did you cover?
I covered a card game that was released in 1994 called The Illuminati New World Order.
Mm-hmm. And it might have had some predictions for the future.
Maybe, possibly, we'll see.
So get your tinfoil hats ready.
Yes.
And go jump on over to Patreon and make sure you listen to that. And then, like I said, we'll have the Ruby Frankie doc out probably like this weekend or next week. And here are some people who will be enjoying said content. So welcome to our new cool kids. Welcome to Justine.
Hi, Justine.
And welcome to Samantha F.
Hi, Samantha.
And thank you to both Miranda and Una, who edited their memberships up
Ooh,
to our highest tier.
We love that.
So thank you so much. Make sure you have sent us your address if you are on Patreon, especially if you are on a higher tier, because the higher tier you're on, the cooler stuff you get in the mail.
Yeah. And when you do upgrade, if you change your tier to the highest tier, send me a message with your t-shirt size, please.
Yes, because you get a t-shirt.
That's right.
So yeah, make sure you go check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/drinkingthekool-aid. And we have tons of stuff on there. There's literally like
hours.
It's like almost 200 episodes or 200 posts between videos and bonus episodes. And you even get bonus content if you join at the lowest tier. You get monthly, obviously all of the episodes ad-free and early. We release them the night before. And you get our shot of Kool-Aid every month. And you get Amanda's S-Word series, which is all about Scientology.
Tom Cruise.
Nobody, I swear to God, if you call Tom Cruise right now.
Don't tell Tom Cruise.
You call him.
Please.
But thank you guys so much for joining our Patreon. Patreon is a big part of the reason that we get to do what we do here on the podcast, and we just totally dig you.
It's huge.
It's huge.
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 That's another movie I want to watch.
What?
The Apprentice.
Oh.
where Sebastian Stan plays Donald Trump.
God, I love him.
He was nominated for an Oscar for that one too.
Fantastic.
But the movie he should have been nominated for, I mean, this is just me speaking because I haven't seen The Apprentice yet, so I'm sure he deserved that nomination. But A Different Man.
Oh, yeah. You told me about that.
Was so good. So good. Go watch it. Go in blind. Don't look anything up about it. It is so good. I think it's on Max now. And it is, I mean, it's definitely in my top 3 of last year movies.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good year for movies too.
It was a good year for movies.
Weird year for nominations.
Very upsetting turn of events with Amelia Perez, but you know what? It is what it is.
Listen, I tried to get through all of the Best Picture nominees, and Amelia Perez, I literally couldn't even get through. Like, I looked at my fiance and he looked at me and I was like, we have to, like, this is so cringe. It was like hard to watch.
That one is literally so beyond confusing to me. I will never.
And it's weird.
Understand it.
I know smart people whose opinions I trust, especially about movies, who loved it. So I'm like, maybe it's just one of those things that's just not for me.
I have never heard. Maybe that's just the side of the internet I'm on, but I have not seen a single person like it.
I have not sseen anyone on the internet like it, but also I follow a bunch of haters. But I know people in real life who watched it and loved it. It did not resonate for me. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, could not be me, but I guess good for you.
Oh, speaking of fun events.
What?
We got our tickets. We're going to be at Midsummer Scream again this year. So everybody go get your tickets and we'd love to see you there. It's in Long Beach in August. And if you are planning on going, come say hi to us. We ran into a ton of listeners last year and it was super fun. And we would just love to see you guys.
It's probably my favorite time of the year. I feel like I say this every year.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. I just even being there, walking around, going through the haunted houses, seeing all the people dressed up, like it is just, oh my God, so much fun.
Yeah. And our friend Stephen Ray Morris and our other friend Kate are coming with us too. So come through and come say hi to us, guys.
Kadra's also going to be there on Saturday.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Cool. Is her husband coming?
Yeah, TJ.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. And they're super awesome podcasters too. So just come check it out. If you're in the area, if you're in the LA area, it's just so fun. Even if you don't give a shit about seeing us, it's really just super fun time and a lot of cool people, and you can get so many cool little goodies.
Yeah, there's so many like vendors, and oh my God, it's just so fun.
So fun. Well, on that note, how about we get started?
Let's get started.
Let's do it. Let me pull up my little Word document here. All right, so this week I'm going to be covering a very serious topic. You know, I don't do that often, but it has been in the news recently, and I have had at least 1,000 of you reach out to me and ask me to cover this. And Amanda also personally asked me to cover this. So that means Mama gets what Mama wants. Okay.
Matron of honor.
Matron gets what matron wants.
Okay.
So I am going to be covering the Casey Anthony case.
I'm so sat for this one.
Yeah. So this is a case that I feel like, and we've talked about this before with like when I covered the OJ case on Patreon or other big like true crime cases. Sometimes people feel like they know everything about it just because it's so saturated in our media. But I remember, who was it when I covered Ted Bundy? You were like, oh, there's so much stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to do that today. It is a very long story. I already told Amanda, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I did not include certain things that I thought might be interesting but weren't super relevant just for time. Because once again, we're not a podcast that does multiple parts, so I'm condensing this here.
I will be asking questions.
Yes. And I'm also going to try and cover this as objective as I can and just go with the facts. And so let's dive in. And this is obviously brought on because Casey Anthony has recently tried to make a return to the internet. This is like her third time trying to do that, and it's not gone well for her ever. So I don't know why she keeps trying. But we'll talk about that at the end as well. Okay, so some of my sources today were a Vox article by Aja Romano, a USA Today, a couple articles by them. I watched multiple documentaries from multiple different viewpoints. The first of which was Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, which is told from her point of view and her perspective. That came out in 2022. Another one I watched was An American Murder Mystery, Casey Anthony, which that was a series. I also read a ton of the transcripts from the actual trial. I also watched a ton of jailhouse conversations between her and her parents and her brother. And of course, Wikipedia.
Okay. And before you begin, I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't really know much about this case. Like, I knew a little bit about it when it was going on, but I don't know like the actual facts. So I will be saying my opinions and speculating. So just be aware.
No, and I think you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And like once again, this is a story that's been covered so many different times by so many different people. Everything that anyone could say about Casey Anthony has been said.
Yeah.
So like there's not going to be anything shocking in your opinion if you're like, I fucking hate this woman, or if you're like, wait, that's a little weird. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like there's not going to be anything shocking to anybody.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, so Casey Marie Anthony was born on March 19th, 1986. And whenever her childhood is talked about, she grew up with a really bad habit of lying. To the point where, like, when she was in high school, she ended up flunking out her senior year. She did not graduate high school, but she lied to everyone, including her parents, that her graduation was still going to happen. So she, like, sent out invitations to her grandparents and invited people to her graduation and her graduation party. And by the time that she finally had to, like, come clean and tell her parents, like, I'm not graduating, her parents tried to cover for her, and because it was too late to uninvite the grandparents and everything, so they just said, oh, she's doing like kind of a different ceremony, so she's not going to be in the traditional graduation. Like, she didn't graduate. Okay, so like this family kind of has a habit of Casey lies, her parents cover it up. Some people have said that her mother has a lot of similar tendencies to Casey. I don't know if that's true. I don't know this person personally, but that is what friends and family members have said.
I feel like when you start out as a young adult making up those lavish lies like that, that's a sign for like what you're going to be as an adult.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like we have talked about this before. We talked about this on a recent Patreon episode when we were talking about the Anatomy of Lies docuseries.
Yes.
Like, yes, people do sometimes pick up a habit of compulsive lying as a defense mechanism from trauma and all sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a psychopath or you're a crazy person, whatever, but that doesn't mean that it's an okay thing to do, right? Like you have to work your way out of that.
Yeah.
Like lying for attention or lying because you're afraid of the consequences or whatever. Those are natural, normal impulses. But if you aren't ever held accountable for doing those things and you don't change, then you will become just like a bad person.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, of course, when Casey becomes pregnant at 18, she doesn't tell anyone until she literally begins to show. And her parents agree to take care of her financially if she decides to keep the baby instead of putting it up for adoption. Because obviously at this point, she's past the point of being able to get an abortion.
Okay.
So she tells her parents, well, I'm going to put it up for adoption. I don't want to be a mom. And her parents tell her, well, if you do that, we're not going to support you financially. But if you keep the baby, we will support you financially. Like, once again, like they are also manipulating her, right?
Yes.
Like that's a manipulative thing to do. If you keep the baby, you can live here for free. We'll pay your bills. We'll financially support you. We'll take care of all the stuff that, expensive babies are expensive.
You're literally already setting this up for me to think a certain way though.
Oh, am I?
Well, not you, but like the story is setting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just including some things that I have found through research that I feel like are very often left out of this story. Like, I didn't know this.
Because that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And so instead of putting the baby up for adoption, she decides to keep Kaylee, and Kaylee Marie Anthony is born in August of 2005.
Why are you naming your kid almost the exact same name as you?
Literally. So at the time of her pregnancy, Casey was actually, people could call him her fiance, but they weren't together very long. But she was allegedly engaged to a man named Jesse Grund. So he assumed that he was the father, but after helping raise Kaylee for like the first year of her life, there was a DNA test that proved that he was not the father, which devastated him. And he did stay in Kaylee's life after that. But obviously his tumultuous relationship with Casey could not be continued after that.
Yeah.
Some people have floated the idea that Casey's ex, Jesus Ortiz, could be the father. Cindy has actually also said this, Cindy is Casey's mom. But he died in a bad car accident in 2007. And obviously, we know that Kaylee is no longer living. So we don't know. But so as far as anybody knows, nobody knows who Kaylee's biological father is.
Okay.
Yeah. And Casey herself has told multiple different stories to even like her closest friends. Like
Well,
she said,
she's a compulsive liar.
yeah, like she said, oh, you know, he's in the army. Oh, it was a one night stand. Oh, she also has claimed, and this is the story that she is currently telling, that she was actually raped at a party and became pregnant.
Okay.
But a hard thing with someone who lies so often is it's really hard to put together
The truth.
the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it just makes it very confusing and difficult. So this leads us to 2008, June 2008. Casey and Kaylee are living with Casey's parents, Cindy and George Anthony, in Florida. They live in like the Orlando area. Casey is working at Universal Studios, but mostly she lives off of the money her parents give her. And her parents also pay for like all the food and housing and all of the stuff that Kaylee needs because she is like a 2.5-year-old. Kaylee, of course, is like the sweetest, most precious, adorable little kid. She actually reminds me a lot, like just physically the way they look, of that little girl who went missing in like Portugal. Do you remember? That was like a big story and people were like, did the parents do it?
I don't remember.
Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. Sorry, just a second. Madeline McCann.
Oh, yes.
They look really similar.
They do look kind of similar.
Like physically, yeah.
Another very big story.
Very big story, yeah. Have we covered that one?
Mm-mm.
Crazy that we haven't. Probably because it's just such a big one. I mean,
when
same with this.
When they're this big, I think we get nervous.
Yeah. You know, she's super fun loving. All of her friends and family just are obsessed with Kaylee. Allegedly, Casey's parents and especially Cindy had told Casey multiple times, if you don't want to be a mom, we will adopt Kaylee. Like we will take Kaylee on. And Casey was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to let you raise my child. If I'm keeping this kid, I'm keeping this kid.
You're being selfish and your ego is too big.
Allegedly, she had her relationship with her mother was like very competitive. And keep in mind, well, at this point, she's like 21, but you know, she's young. And I think like one of her friends said that the idea of Casey's mom taking Kaylee from her was like the ultimate defeat. Like she would just feel like her mom won or something like that. Right. But this has been like a point that's been used, and I don't know, right? Like in hindsight's 2020, this child is no longer with us. Like if you're looking at it from back then, I'm like, yeah, I understand why you wouldn't want to give your mom custody, especially if you and your mom have like kind of this weird relationship. But then looking back, you're like, oh my gosh, if she would have just given this baby up for adoption in the first hand, like this kid would be 19 years old now and living
oh my gosh,
you know, and on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
So Casey's like 21. She's dating this guy named Tony Lazzaro, who is an amateur DJ. So she's going out a ton with him out on the town. She goes out with her friends and she tells her parents that she is leaving Kaylee with a babysitter when she does all of this. And that is Zenaida or Zanny the nanny.
Zanny the nanny.
Yes.
Why didn't she leave her with the parents?
She didn't want to.
Okay.
Once again, I think there was like she didn't want her kid to be parented by her parents.
Okay.
And what the reasons are, I do not know. We get into some theories later that we'll talk about, but that seemed to be the thing, that she didn't want her parents raising her kid.
Got it.
So according to testimony from both George and Cindy, on the morning of June 16th, 2008, Casey and Kaylee left the Anthony house with bags, and Casey claimed that she was going to Tampa on a work trip, and she was going to bring Kaylee with her, but also the nanny was going to be either coming along or Kaylee was going to spend a couple nights at the nanny's house.
Okay, hold on, sorry. So one night she goes out, leaves Kaylee with Zanny the nanny.
One night, many nights. She goes out.
Many
nights.
She
has her 21st birthday. This is over years.
Okay. So that was just you introducing Zanny the nanny.
Yes, like that's what she would tell her friends. Like when people would be like, "Oh, where's Kaylee? Like you're out on the town with us." And some people like to say like, "Oh, she was out all the time," but then a lot of her friends were like, "No, she was out like the normal amount."
Okay.
For whatever. And when we would have like nights at someone's house, she would bring Kaylee sometimes, like to just hang out, like girls' night or whatever. We're drinking wine. So that's one of the things where it's like, I don't know, between friends who are trying to defend her and media who likes to sensationalize. I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? We will get into her activities after June 16th, which are pretty well documented, and she did go out quite a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so she like told her mom, oh yeah, Zanny's gonna help me out with Kaylee while I'm on this work trip going down to Tampa. And so she gets into her parents' car, which was their second vehicle that she would use to get to and from work and to get around, and leaves. And allegedly she had around her neck a lanyard with her Universal Studios credentials on them. So the next time her parents get into contact with her, besides like very brief contact between Casey and her dad, is 31 days later.
Wow.
They actually get a call about their car having been towed because it had been abandoned in a parking lot in Orlando. So George goes to pick up the car, and he and the man that's working at the impound lot talk about how much it reeks. Like, it just like absolutely smells horrible, this car does. And he drives it back to their house, and when he opens the back trunk, he sees that there's a garbage bag inside and that she had left a bag of garbage in there. And so he threw it out and then starts calling Casey like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming they had been like trying to get into contact with her before this, because the second she comes to the house, Cindy calls the police and says, I need the police to come and arrest someone who's at my house right now for stealing my car.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously Cindy is going, where's Kaylee? Like, why are you here? Where's your daughter? And she's like, kind of like, oh, she's at the nanny, like whatever. And like just being kind of flippant about it. So Cindy calls the police, asks for someone to come arrest Casey about the car. And then when she gets off the phone with 911, she overhears Casey telling her brother Lee that Zanny the nanny had taken Kaylee and refused to give her back, and then had her phone shut off. So of course, when Cindy hears this, she freaks out and she starts pressing Casey. She's like, you need to tell me the whole story. What's going on? And Casey tells her, well, when I went to go drop off Kaylee with the nanny 30 days ago or whatever, she took her from me, and then I never heard back from her, and she turned her phone off, and she has my kid. And then like she kind of said once like, oh, I talked to her on the phone and she let me know that Kaylee was okay. And then she said that she tried to do her own investigation. She went to places that Zanny and Kaylee would hang out, like the grocery store and the park, and she couldn't find her. So she just was trying to do her own thing to try and figure out where Kaylee was for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Cindy calls 911 again, and this time to report her granddaughter missing. And she's obviously much more frantic this time. And she also mentions that she thought the car smelled like a dead body when it had been returned. The dispatcher asks to speak with Casey, who at first refuses and says, I don't have anything to say to them, and then does end up taking the phone and kind of mumbles around her story for a little bit until the police show up, where she once again repeats the nanny story to the police. So the police bring her into the station, have her repeat this story, and they start asking questions about the nanny and about the situation. And obviously this story seems ridiculous, because what mother would ever have someone kidnap their child and then not call the police? And she kept saying like, well, I was trying to do my own investigation. I was trying to figure it out on my own. That's when the police are like, okay, well, show us the apartment where you dropped Kaylee off with this nanny. So Casey brings the police to this apartment building and is like, yeah, that's the unit. I think that's the one where I dropped her off. Yeah, I was going to say,
wait a second. She knows where Zanny lives.
Yeah. And so she's like kind of saying it, and that they're like looking in through the windows and it's empty. There's no furniture. There's nothing in there. So they go to the building manager, and the building manager's like, yeah, nobody's lived in that unit for months. And also nobody's moved in or out of like the building for the last 3 months or whatever.
Okay.
So the police even checked the security footage on site for the apartments that day. And there's a camera that if the way Casey explained the story and told them the story had dropped off Kaylee, they would have been clearly on the camera. And there is no sign of Kaylee, the nanny, or Casey on the camera the day that she claims she did this drop off.
Because at first I was like, I mean, it's possible that her story is true.
Yes. And so she had like a whole name. It was like Zenaida. It was like a full woman's name.
But we think this person has never existed.
And well, okay, so She said that this Zanny the Nanny person was a half black, half Puerto Rican woman who she described as a perfect 10 from New York. That's how Casey described her to the police, which once again, like just like so like childish, like all of it. And she said that her name was Zenaida. Everyone called her Zanny, and that she had gotten this recommendation as a babysitter or as a nanny from a Universal Studios employee that she worked with who also had a kid, and Zanny had watched his child. And so when she had Kaylee, she said, hey, do you know anybody? And he's like, oh, I trust her. She's been watching my kid for 3 years. Right? So that's what she tells.
Yeah. And you would think you'd be able to trace that back to all these people.
Well, she says that unfortunately, this guy who she worked with, he actually just moved to North Carolina, and he got a new phone number, and she doesn't know what it is.
Right. But she doesn't know his name either.
And the police were like, well, is there anyone that you told this story about the nanny to? And she was like, yeah, actually my coworker, I told her at Universal Studios, I told her. And they were like, oh, well, can we talk to her? And she goes, well, unfortunately, my coworker just moved back to New York and also changed her phone number, and I don't have it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because that happens every single time someone moves.
Basically, yeah. And in the time of cell phones, too.
Yeah.
There's a very infamous situation that happens. The police end up calling Universal Studios trying to find out if any of these names that they're being given actually work there. And Universal Studios goes, Casey Anthony hasn't worked here for almost 3 years.
Okay.
And so they take Casey Anthony to Universal Studios and they walk her through and they go, show us where your boss's office is so we can talk to them. And she's like waving at people and like to go, hey man, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a week or whatever. She hasn't worked there. They said she never came back after her maternity leave.
This lady.
Yeah. Liar. Just like liar around every corner. And then finally she ends up like walking them into like a dead end, and there's no offices or nothing there. And they're like, okay. And they know, the police already know.
This is the police, Casey.
And she goes, okay, yeah, I don't work here. Sorry. Oops. I just didn't want people to know I was unemployed. So the day police continue their investigation, Casey is arrested for child neglect and giving false statements to police and obstruction of justice because she's lying. And as the search for Kaylee begins, the police also continue to investigate Casey and all of her claims, right? So they start looking at where her cell phone data was the day that this abduction, this kidnapping by Zanny the nanny happened. It ended up being a woman with the same name as like I can't remember what it was. The full name was like Zenaida Hernandez something, right? It was like 3 names, whatever. And she sued Casey Anthony because people found her online.
And it was the same name?
And it's the same full name, but like this lady never met Casey Anthony, never was involved, but like people were harassing her online because she had the same full name.
Oh my gosh.
People were like, where's the baby? Where's Kaylee? And she's like, I don't know this bitch. So the day that she was allegedly kidnapped by Zanny the nanny, she ended the night, first she drove around kind of her parents' house for a little while in that area after she said that she was going to work, which seems like something she did often because she was faking going to work. So she would just drive around until her parents would leave for work and then go back to the house. So because there was like activity on the home computer while her parents were both at work and her cell phone was in the area. So that's what she did, is what it looked like. And then she ended the day by going to hang out with her boyfriend. They went to Blockbuster Video and rented a movie and then watched movies and had drinks at his house. She made no mention that her child was missing the entire month that she stayed with him. She never once mentioned her child. And when she was asked by people that were friends with her or even her boyfriend, she just would say that, oh, she's staying with the nanny because I needed a break.
So the boyfriend was questioned and said that.
Yes.
Okay.
And knew, and like all of her friends and stuff too. Like everybody knew Kaylee because Kaylee usually was always with Casey. During this time that her daughter was allegedly kidnapped by this nanny, Casey was photographed going out to parties and bars, participating in a hot body contest at a local bar, and also got a tattoo on her back that read Bella Vita, which means beautiful life. She also was keeping a diary at the time, and in her journal wrote how she'd never been happier in her entire life than when she was staying with Tony. She also was stealing from her friends and committing check fraud and shit like that while all this was going on. actually the where the car was abandoned was in a check cashing like parking lot.
Oh, really?
For like a check cashing place. Yeah.
I know we're gonna get there, but I just want to ask it. At this point, we think that she killed Kaylee and she was in the car in a garbage bag, or we think that she was just leaving her alone, neglecting her.
So they did not arrest her for murder right away. Like I said, she was arrested for child neglect and for lying to officers on July 16th. And then on July 22nd, she's officially named a person of interest in the disappearance of her daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking like, did she just literally leave her daughter alone and that's how she died?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So we'll get there, and there's some very interesting stuff that happens. So, like I said, on July 22nd, she's officially named a person of interest because cell phone records showed a very different story than what Casey was saying about her whereabouts of that last day. And 2 separate cadaver dogs had alerted in the Anthony's backyard and at the trunk of the car that Casey had been driving. There was an FBI report done, and the laboratory results also found levels of compounds in the air of the trunk that are associated with decomposition. The technician was able to isolate compounds, 67% of which are associated with human decomp. There was also a large amount of chloroform in the air of the trunk, which was obviously incredibly suspicious. That's not something that's like naturally occurring in large quantities. And it became even more suspicious when they found that the computer inside the home had searches on Google for chloroform dating back to March of 2008. And that chloroform or ways to make chloroform had been Googled 84 separate times on the computer.
Oh.
Yes.
That's pretty telling.
Yes. There were also other disturbing Google searches, but obviously this is the one that's directly linked to something that happened. But there was like stuff about suffocation, getting drugged, like peaceful ways to die and stuff like that were also searched. But the chloroform ones, especially the ones in March, according to forensic evidence, literally couldn't have been made by anybody but Casey because her parents were at work and had an alibi at the time. And she obviously was not working, and her whereabouts were a little wherever she wanted to be abouts.
I would say that the fact that that is on the Google at all is a 100% certainty that she did it.
Okay. So because of all this evidence, and despite there being no body, on October 14th, 2008, a grand jury did indict Casey Anthony on first-degree murder charges in connection with Kaylee's death. So they felt like they had found enough evidence that Kaylee was dead and that Casey was involved, if not the sole perpetrator. And this is when, inside the jail, Casey made some of her more insensitive remarks regarding herself and the disappearance of her daughter. At one point, Cindy is in there talking to her. Cindy and George are like talking to her over the phone, like through the wall or whatever. And this is all recorded. You can literally see this video. There's so much video. And Kaylee's like, "Why are you crying already? Like, why are you crying?" to her mom, who's like crying and whatever. And they're like, "Well, we haven't seen you in a long time," and like whatever. And then at one point her mom goes, "And somebody this morning said that they really do think that Kaylee is dead." And very infamously, Casey Anthony replies by rolling her eyes and going, "Surprise, surprise." Just like that. Like exactly like that.
Okay.
She also talks shit to her mom and about her mom for going on talk shows, trying to get more people to be searching for Kaylee and like spreading the word about her missing granddaughter. And the only time she ever really seems sad, devastated, or cries is when she's talking about herself in the situation that she is in. And I watched tons of these videos, and she just does not come off well at all. Like at one point she's talking to her brother, and her brother is like, "Dude, we're just trying to figure out where Kaylee is." And she goes, "You know what? Fuck you guys. Don't even fucking come to my arraignment on Tuesday. Like, stay down there. I don't give a shit. Like, whatever." And her brother's going, "You're making it really hard for anyone to want to support you right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're making it really hard." And like, I get it. It is a terrible situation, especially if you are innocent. Like, it's a horrible situation to be in. But like, she's just so angry and so mean, and she just does not come off well at all. She does not come off like somebody who is devastated and just all she hopes is that her daughter is found. You know what I mean? Yeah. So on December 11th, 2008, over 5 months since Kaylee was last seen, an Orange County meter reader named Roy Kronk discovers and reports skeletal remains in a wooded area less than 1 mile from the Anthony house. Kronk does later testify during Casey's murder trial that he said that he had actually seen a white object in the same location that he was 99.99% sure were a human skull all the way back in August of 2008. But when he called the police, he said, quote, "The officer looked one way and then the other. Then he berated me for half an hour for wasting his time." So there is a chance that these remains could have been found in August.
And she was missing when? June?
The last time
July?
she was seen was June.
Okay.
Was June 16th. And also keep in mind, this is something we just talked about on the Gabby Petito documentary. This is Florida during the summer. Like, you're decomposing fast as fuck. Like, it is humid. It is swampy. It is exactly the right conditions for insects and animals and just natural decomposition to be sped up like exponentially.
And she's a baby.
And
she's only changes things.
Yeah, she's only like, she's about to turn, or was about to turn 3 in August. Yeah. Little Leo baby. So obviously she hires a defense team. The prosecution works on their case. And fast forward to May 24th, 2011, and Casey Anthony's murder trial begins. The prosecution had one version of events and the defense had a very different one. So we will start with the prosecution's theory. And the prosecution basically brings up and tries to bring evidence to point towards that Casey had been giving Kaylee Xanax to knock her out, and that's why she would call it Zanny the Nanny. And because obviously once you take Xanax often, your body builds up a resistance to it. She was giving her more and more Xanax and then decided to try chloroform or maybe a mixture of the two, and that's why chloroform had been Googled. At first, they thought maybe she accidentally overdosed her and then just put her, like, covered her mouth and killed her, because with the autopsy, because it was skeletal remains, they had a really hard time coming up with a cause of death.
Yeah.
And
isn't chloroform the thing that people put on like a napkin and suffocate you?
And make you pass out. Yeah. So there was duct tape found on the skeletal remains. It was actually stuck to some hair that was still on Kaylee's skull. So people thought that she might have chloroformed her and then wrapped duct tape over her mouth and nose to suffocate her. And then she panicked, drove around with the body in the trunk for a few days before dropping her remains off in the field, because there was, like I said, signs of decomp in the truck or in the trunk of this car. And so she would have had to have driven around in the hot sun with this baby's body in the trunk to create that environment. The defense has a completely different story of what happened, and they drop several bombshells during the trial that are shocking to say the least. The largest and first claim is Casey's claim that her father, George, and later in life, her brother, Lee, as well, had been sexually abusing her since she was a child. And so the reason that she lied so often and was so good at lying was because she had been lying about that for her entire life. And that just like turned her into a liar. At one point, the FBI even DNA tested Kaylee to make sure she wasn't fathered by George or Lee if Casey's claims were true, that she was being raped by them. And then because she was so shady about who the father was, like, yeah, if it's your dad, your own dad. But that was not the case. The DNA tests came back negative.
It just fucking sucks when there's people out there like this who lie, because part of me is like, well, what if that is true? Like, you know what I mean? And then I feel guilty for being like, she's lying.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, like that makes sense that you would just be a liar because you've been lying about this and your dad's been abusing you, whatever.
Well, I mean, I would assume that being a compulsive liar like that could be like attributed to trauma. No,
Absolutely. We've talked about many times that I've known people who are compulsive liars like that. And one of them, it was because they were a victim of childhood sexual assault.
Yeah. So it's like people like Casey Anthony is what makes that so
hard.
Yeah.
And so she claims that the morning of the disappearance, so this June 16th, she had woken up and Kaylee wasn't in her room, or that her father had come in and said, hey, where's Kaylee? Like, why is she not in the house?
Okay.
And she had not been feeling well, so she kind of like groggily woke up. So that's when her dad found Kaylee floating in the pool and pulled Kaylee out of the pool. And
this is like a whole nother story.
Yeah,
Okay.
and told Casey, you did this. I can't believe you did this by like your negligence. And then basically was like, I'm going to take care of this. You leave. Like, you get out of here. That he would handle it.
Okay.
So that's why she just went off to her boyfriend's, and like her dad had told her like, she's still alive. I'm going to get her the help that she needs, but like, you need to leave or else, because everyone's going to be so mad at you and think that you did this. Like, just go to your boyfriend's for a couple weeks. That's what she said her dad said.
Okay. And they have a history of covering up for her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that is what, and then she says the reason that she was just out having fun is because she thought that her daughter was going to be fine and that she was alive.
Well,
and so once again, I know that she was alive. And so she was like, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm just going to enjoy my time off.
Bitch.
Because my dad is taking care of
if your
my
daughter almost drowned in the pool, you stay home and you fucking make sure, or you call your dad every single day. You don't go partying. You're worried. You're literally sitting at home on your couch worried.
Yeah. And the fact that she like didn't say anything to her boyfriend or any of her friends.
Yeah. And all of them testified, right? That she was partying and having a good time.
And I mean, there's tons of photos. And like, once again, like some of the photos I know were used that were like, they were old photos. Like there's a picture from her 21st birthday that was going around of her like throwing up in a toilet. She like drank too much, but it's like, that wasn't from that period of time, but she did like to party. You know what I mean? But she's 21.
Yeah. And once again, she literally said that she didn't want to be a mother.
Yes. Yes. This is when things get even more bizarre. So a volunteer who had been searching for Kaylee, her name was Crystal Holloway. She actually claimed that she had an affair with George Anthony while this was going on. And she claimed that George told her Kaylee's death was, quote, an accident that snowballed out of control.
Wait. Claimed that
George had told
that.
Yes,
okay.
that the dad, George, had said that to her.
Okay.
And when the defense attorney, Baez, asked Holloway if George had told her that Kaylee was dead while stating publicly, like still going on TV and searching for her, that she was missing, she replied yes.
Okay.
So this woman is claiming that they had this affair. George was going on TV being like, we just want Kaylee back. We just want to find Kaylee, knowing she was dead. And that he claimed it was an accident that snowballed out of control. Not that he was involved in the accident. Not that he even, whatever. No other details other than that, really.
But that's what this random chick said.
That's what this chick is saying, yeah.
And was the affair able to be confirmed or denied?
No.
Okay.
Obviously, Casey's parents deny the defense's version of events, including the affair and the sexual abuse allegations, of course, vehemently deny those. They also weren't great witnesses for the prosecution either. Like Cindy tried to say that she had accidentally Googled chloroform when she meant to search for chlorophyll, but had misremembered the term.
This is not good.
Yeah.
None of this is good.
And then she also claims that she was just using a figure of speech when she said that the car smelled like death. But remember, the only reason this investigation, any of this even happened, is because Cindy Anthony called the police 3 times that day.
Yeah.
First of all, just to get Casey in trouble about the car thing. And then once she heard the Zanny the nanny story, she calls the police again, more frantic, and says, my granddaughter has been kidnapped. You can hear these 911 calls. They're available online. And she says, the nanny took my daughter. Apparently she hasn't seen her in 30 days. Or my granddaughter, my daughter was trying to deal with it without the police. And, so the only reason this is even happening is because Cindy called the police. So why would Cindy call the police if she was involved in the disappearance of Kaylee?
I don't think she was involved, but I think Casey admitted to it later on, and now they're covering it up.
Okay. So the trial lasts 6 weeks, which is extremely long. There was like over 400 pieces of evidence and witnesses that like were brought into us. It was crazy. And after closing arguments, the prosecution closed with, quote, responses to grief are as varied as the day is long, but responses to guilt, oh, they are so predictable. What do guilty people do? They lie. They avoid. They run. They mislead, not just their family, but the police. They divert attention away from themselves and act like nothing is wrong. After that, a jury of 7 women and 5 men go to deliberate. Famously, as we all know, she is found guilty of 4 counts of lying to police and 1 count of check fraud, but found not guilty for murder or child abuse. She is given 4 years in jail and a $4,000 fine, but her sentence is commuted to time served because she had been in jail since 2008 and it is now 2011. She went dark for a while, for many years. And then in 2017, she gave her first interview with the Associated Press. And she said, quote, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about me, and I never will. I'm okay with myself. I sleep pretty good at night. I understand the reasons people feel about me. I understand why people have the opinions they do. I'm still not even certain as I stand here today what really happened. So Casey Anthony did end up living with one of her defense attorneys.
What?
Yeah. And she worked for him as like a legal aid. Once again, she did not finish high school or college, obviously. She tried to start a private detective business that obviously didn't do well. She also tried to get into photography briefly in like 2018, or maybe that was like 2015, whatever. She's like tried multiple times to like get on the internet. She tried to do like a YouTube thing briefly too.
Okay.
And in November of 2022, Casey Anthony appears in the docuseries Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies. I don't think she comes across the way that she was hoping to in this documentary. I did watch it. I've actually
have not watched it.
So I've seen it twice, and it's literally basically an interview with her. It's like the type of documentary that you make where you're like, I'm going to change the story and like I'm going to tell my side and I'm going to prove how like I got railroaded or whatever. But she does not come off sympathetic in the least in this. She's also just not a very kind or charming person, which isn't maybe necessarily her fault, but like she doesn't come off the way she thinks she does, I don't think.
I mean, also like you made up an entire human being, and I'm sorry, if she was real, police would have been able to find her.
Like you don't come out looking good in this in the least. And being a victim, let's say she was a victim of childhood sexual assault, right? Like let's just take that at face value. Even if she was, like that does not, it can inform the way that you act, but it does not, it in no way does it excuse the way that you acted.
Right.
And so she says that a lot in the documentary. She's like, I lied. Yeah, I did. I lied to police. I lied to everybody. And like, here's kind of why. And I get it. Like, but it once again feels that's something that liars do too, where they admit to a littler lie. So to be like, well, then why would I lie about the big lie? That's like something liars do. We see it time and time again.
And also, now that I'm thinking about it, why would her parents, because I was like, oh, maybe her parents like were trying to cover her for her again.
Yeah.
But why would they do that if she literally accused her father of sexually assaulting her?
Well, and her brother.
So, and I think, in my opinion, that the affair person might have been staged.
Yeah, it could have been, because that's the thing. They couldn't find any, at least from what I saw. Once again, I didn't like.
I mean, there's phone records.
I didn't like sit and watch the whole trial, so I don't know. But I would assume that would be easier to find if there were phone records of this affair or text messages or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right? And apparently, he did go and visit her, but she had like been really sick, and she also had helped out with the search for Kaylee, so they were friendly. And so it's just we don't know what
he visited this woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Because she was sick. Or at least that's what him and his wife said. And his wife was like, I knew that he went because she was sick and she had been in the search for Kaylee. Like she'd been out there in the woods poking around and doing stuff. Like she was a friend of the family at this point. Right. And so she's saying that they had an affair. The Anthonys are saying this was just someone that we knew. And I think that they believe Casey, or she wants a spotlight. I don't know why you would do something like this. And we've seen people do that. Right. So I don't know who to believe there either, because it's just he said, she said. But her parents did say, her dad did say, like in 2017, he was like, I'm ready to forgive my daughter and try to have a relationship with her and like try to figure out what really happened here. But then after she did this docuseries, the Casey Anthony docuseries, and she repeated again the story and told, like, it was very graphic in the, like when they talked about it in the trial, like the defense attorney was like, Casey would have to, she would be 9 years old and have her dad's penis in her mouth. And then she would have to go to school and act like everything was fine. So of course she's a good liar.
Ooh.
Like they were very graphic about it, right?
Shit,
and like very like, they didn't insinuate that this had happened. They said this happened and this is why she's a liar, right? And apparently he wasn't allowed to use the abuse or the affair in his closing statements because the judge ruled that there wasn't enough corroborating evidence that it actually happened. But once again, I mean, there's never going to be a ton of evidence that you're getting assaulted by your parent. You live in the same house. There's no, you know what I mean? Unless there's like photos or something, or they bragged about it. But
this is like really confusing.
It's once again, like I don't think Casey Anthony is a good person, and I don't think that she needs to be on TikTok. That's a reason that all this came up. But I do think that she was found not guilty by a jury of her peers, whether that is fair or it is not, right? Doesn't mean that all the other shitty shit that she did didn't happen and that she doesn't suck and that we don't need her on the internet. Like we don't need you as an influencer. I'm sorry. I don't think you've learned anything, because even let's say you are innocent. You get on the internet and the first thing you talk about is your parents, how your parents have said lies about you. Like all you talked about was yourself. I'm a legal advocate now and I do all this, I do all that. Why the fuck are you not going, hey, let's find out like what is going on with my daughter?
Yeah.
Like, let's find out why my dad was never prosecuted for that. Let's find out, like it was just all about her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you didn't learn a fucking thing. And also like, people do shitty things. It doesn't make them murderers or whatever, right? She literally the guy that she just moved in with, she broke up his like 20-year marriage knowing that he was married, slept with him, and then waited for her to move out, the ex-wife to move out of the house, and then moved herself into the house. I'm not kidding you, 20 minutes later.
That doesn't surprise me.
You're just not a good person. Like I don't think you grew up and understood anything.
No.
And like she was making jokes about giving her defense attorney blowjobs and shit, and
that's
like
what I'm saying. She lived with him,
and it just. And they say nothing ever happened. They had a strictly professional relationship, whatever.
Bullshit.
That's all very murky as well. And there's tons of people who have lots of opinions on the internet.
I'm calling bullshit.
But like, she's just not a good person. Like, we don't need you on the internet. You don't need to be here. I don't really want to hear anything else from you or about you. Like those jailhouse interviews are enough for me to be like, oh, this person just sucks. And so unless you were literally coming like heart in hand, like, about all the work you did on yourself and like ways that people can help themselves and change. Like you took no accountability for even the stuff that we know that you did, that you've admitted to.
Yeah.
You haven't taken accountability for anything. So, once again, like this is somebody who was found not guilty by a jury of their peers. It's been compared to the OJ case and other cases where people thought that people were found not guilty unfairly.
I'm very shocked that she was found not guilty, I think
it's because the affair thing, like there was reasonable doubt. There was reasonable doubt. I do understand.
Where the fuck are all of these people that she said knew all these things?
Knew all what things?
The two coworkers that she said.
No, she admitted. Oh, I just lied about that.
Oh, she said that those people did.
Yeah, she said I lied about Zanny. I lied about all of it because I was trying to cover up for my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because remember she said, "Oh, I saw her drowned and blue." She said she was blue.
Oh,
and
yeah,
cold.
that's what the defense said. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's her story. That's what happened, and then she lied because she was trying to cover up for her parents and not get in trouble. She just lied about the Zanny and anything. But like, her mom is the one who called 911.
Oh my God, I really don't even know now.
Yeah,
now I'm confused. Like my gut, if I'm going to be frank,
is that she did it. Yeah.
That's what my gut is saying.
Because the thing about the drowning doesn't make any sense with the decomposition that they found in the back of the car, right? Like that is what, like there was decomp found in the back of the car. There's chloroform found in the back of the car. A lot of these Google searches that were done on this computer were done when her parents were both at work. Like it had to be her Google searching these things.
Because it makes me, I think like her mom was so like weird about her and fucked in the head that even regardless of the fact that Casey was making up these lies about the dad, or allegedly, maybe we don't even know.
We don't know
about the dad and the brother. There was still that part where it's like, she's my daughter, I'm going to protect her at all costs.
Yes,
You know
and
what
I
I
think
mean?
that that's what happened. Like when she got wishy-washy about the
Oh, I Googled chloroform.
I was trying to Google chlorophyll because,
like, that's weird.
and she said like, oh, it's because my dogs were eating bamboo in the backyard, and I didn't know if that was bad for dogs, so I Googled it. Like chlorophyll is the thing that makes plants green, so like that's not even
hydrogen peroxide. That's what makes your dogs throw up.
No, I'm just saying like she was trying to Google to make sure it was okay that they ate these plants, but she couldn't remember the name chlorophyll, so she Googled chloroform on accident, and then she clicked around. But then the guy who like did the actual research into it said that whoever was Googling chloroform was going back and forth between MySpace, Facebook, and these Google searches.
And wasn't there another one that was like how to make someone die like safely or something?
Just a second. Let me pull it up at the exact searches so I have them. Okay, apparently also like there was Google searches that weren't involved or that weren't included in the trial because investigators missed them, because she would use a different browser than the rest of her family sometimes. Like she would use Firefox and they used Chrome, let's say. I don't remember what the browsers were. But yeah, so they later on found a Google search for, quote, foolproof suffocation methods
Right.
on the day that Kaylee was last seen alive. That was searched on the computer after her parents went to work. Which once again, that's what the prosecution thinks happened, that she overdosed and then she put the tape over her mouth to suffocate her, but she was already unconscious. They said we can't know who performed the search, but the station reported, this is on CBS News by the way, but the station reported that it was done on a browser primarily used by Kaylee's mother, Casey Anthony, who was acquitted for the girl's murder. Attorney generals argued during the trial that Casey Anthony helped her father, George Anthony, cover up the drowning in the pool. However, whoever conducted these Google searches looked for things like, quote, foolproof suffocation, and then clicked on an article about suicide that discussed taking poison and putting a bag over somebody's head. Then the browser recorded activity on myspace.com, which Casey was an active user of, and obviously her father was not. And then the browser history was deleted manually. And obviously they were able to recover it because actually what we were talking about earlier in the episode.
Yes. In my opinion, and my opinion only, those Google searches are very damning to me. And I think for honestly, like if those were brought up in court, I think that it would have been a different story.
Yeah. So prosecutor Jeff Ashton told WKMG, it's a shame that they didn't have the suffocation search results as evidence. Quote, this certainly would have put the accidental death claim into serious question.
Yes.
So basically, Casey Anthony was on trial for first-degree murder, which carries a death sentence in Florida. So one of the reasons, and ex-jurors have talked about this, that they said they couldn't convict her is because there was compelling evidence that maybe it was just an accident and that, you know, it was accidental death and then she panicked and got rid of the body. Like they didn't even necessarily believe the story about her dad, but they were like, well, what if she just suffocated or something happened and then Casey freaked out and hid the body, right? Didn't want to tell anybody. But they were like, so that isn't first degree murder. It just isn't. That's an accidental death. That is manslaughter or whatever. So that is one of the reasons that they didn't convict her. Not even necessarily because they think that she had nothing to do with it, just because they couldn't prove that it was malicious intent murder.
Can I tell you what I think?
Yeah, of course. You're so pissed. I can see it in your face.
Well, because I'm like scared to like say what I think.
Once again, there's nothing mean you can say about Casey Anthony that hasn't been said on the internet.
No, it's not like
fully.
it's like mean. It's just like what I think happened.
Oh, you can have your theory.
So I think that she was just a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
And didn't want her kid, but didn't want her mom to take care of the kid because she had like an ego or whatever about it. And she, every time she would go out, she left Casey completely by herself alone, possibly on Xanax.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey got to the point where she was so frail, starving even, that she was like, oh shit, panicked. That's when she killed her, suffocated her with the chloroform and the duct tape and everything.
Okay.
So I think it was like negligence, but also murder. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was both. Like, I don't think there was any accident involved.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what the jury couldn't figure out. They know that she was involved.
Yeah.
They just don't know to what extent.
And I'm sorry, but like,
and that just isn't first degree murder. And unfortunately, that's what she was up for.
Zanny the nanny lie that she told
Yeah.
like her friends to, like her friends.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend. Like, you would just say, oh, my daughter's being watched by my parents. If the pool thing was real, right?
Yeah.
You would the Zanny the nanny lie would never have been a thing.
Yeah. And the Zanny the nanny thing was something she had said before.
Yeah.
Before Kaylee wasn't around. Whenever she wasn't with
No,
Kaylee,
that's what
she
I'm saying.
yeah.
I think like every single time the Zanny the nanny thing came up, she was leaving Kaylee alone.
She was Zanned out. She had Zanned her out.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think this was going on for a long time, and it got to the point where she gets back one day and she's like, oh shit, I've literally like almost killed this kid. I gotta just I gotta do it fully. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
I'm pretty easy to be like, okay, I'll hear you out.
Yeah.
I am very much, I'm a very open-minded person. And there's been times where I'm like, this person's completely guilty. And then I hear them out and I hear some other evidence that's maybe left out a little bit. And I'm like, my mind has changed. And yeah, I think they suck, but like, I can see how they're innocent, whatever, right? She does not come off in any way, shape, or form in that way. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You got to watch, I would watch a documentary. It's on Peacock, I think. And there's so many documentaries about this case because it is so huge and it really stuck with the nation, I believe, like in a very similar style to like OJ, who I also went into his case with a very open mind and left it being like, no, fuck that guy.
Yes.
I'm so happy you're dead.
Yeah, this one is obviously a little more questionable than that one, I would say. Just because there's so many things that I'm like, oh, I guess like it could be like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, I'm fairly sure that she was involved in a very bad way and that she was doing bad things.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not exactly sitting here having sympathy for her.
No,
or
I don't have
anything she's
sympathy
doing.
for her, but my gut is definitely telling me that. I mean, I think she was involved, absolutely, 100%. But my gut, for some reason, is telling me that she did do the suffocation with chloroform because Kaylee was already like dying because she neglected her. Like, I don't know. That's just what I think.
I could even not understand, but I could see her accidentally overdosing her. So that's actually her dad's theory. Her parents' theory is that she accidentally overdosed her, panicked.
Yeah, or that.
Put her in the back of the car, didn't know what to do with her, came back, and then was the reason she was Googling like suffocation and all that stuff to be like, well, she's already overdosed.
To make sure that she was like fully.
Yeah, to like put her out of her misery or something.
Yeah.
And then
that just reminds me of the Gabby Petito.
Yeah, and then she drove around with her in the car because she didn't know what to do in the back of the car. And the reason she was going out and doing stuff was like almost to give herself an alibi to like, no, look how normal I was being. If I just murdered my daughter, I couldn't be being this normal.
I mean, that's possible.
And then left her a mile away from the house because she wanted her to be close by. That's her parents' theory.
Yeah.
Which I could see that.
That's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
I don't know. It's a fucked up story. And it's just so sad to think of that little girl. Like, all I could think was, if only they would have let her put Kaylee up for adoption and some family could have adopted her, and then maybe she would have had a chance. You know what I mean? Like, there just kept being like all these moments of like, this never even needed to happen. Like, this little girl didn't even need to be with you freaks.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing is like, you know, the parents possibly wanted to do a good thing by keeping her in the family, being like, we'll adopt her.
Yeah.
But in the long run, you should have just let Casey put her up for adoption.
Yeah. Yeah. And not threaten her with punishment for doing what at the end of the day seems like it would have been the right thing to do.
And is for teenage people that don't want a child.
Yeah.
Is the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That just is the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you find out after you're able to get an abortion or not. She just hid it for so long that because I think she was just trying to pretend it wasn't happening, which is also just another thing like teenagers do. Like, right? We've all been there. We're like,
she was a kid.
We know that like bad things are happening, and we're just like, well, if we just ignore it, maybe it'll just go away. And it's like, no, that's not how life works, unfortunately. But I can understand that reaction, and it's like that was a similar thing with her with the getting kicked out of high school, like flunking out. Like she was like, well, fuck, now I'm in too deep. If I just ignore it, maybe something will work out. Anything could happen. But if I come forward now, then everyone's going to know.
Right.
Like there's no chance something will happen. So that is the story of Casey Anthony and Kaylee Anthony. May she rest in peace. She was found wrapped in her favorite baby blanket. Ugh. And so if that helps at all, hopefully she did not experience any pain. And
that also is another thing that kind of proves to me
that it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not like some random person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If it was some random person or whatever, that story about the drowning she never would have come forward with that. That's why I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And just Casey Anthony, stay off social media.
Get off TikTok.
You don't need to be a fucking influencer, dude. Okay, like go with your fucking adulterous husband, and you guys go be fucking losers together somewhere else. Like leave us alone. We don't want to hear from you. We're not interested. And there are plenty of people who might have a story to tell that could be similar to yours that just, will resonate a lot fucking more. Okay,
yeah.
So if you really care about victims and stuff, shut the fuck up and get off the internet.
Yes.
Genuinely. Sometimes it's just not your fucking time, dude. And yours is not. It's not your time. Are you back? Back in the New York groove. It is a song, by the way.
I only know it because of you. All right. Well, so that was
a lot. Yes.
And yes, this episode is going to be pretty long, but I do feel like let's have a decompression story a little bit
please.
Here.
Yeah, we usually surprise each other with our stories, and Amanda wanted me to cover Casey Anthony, and so I literally told her, I was like, it's going to be long, it's going to be sad, and it's going to make everybody angry. So if you want to not do that for your story, that would be great.
So mine's a little lighter, a little shorter, so that's good. So today we're going to talk about Deadwood, South Dakota.
Oh, okay, cool.
So my sources were hauntedhouses.com, legendsofamerica.com, usghostadventures.com, an article on timberj.com by Scarlett Stone, and Wikipedia.
Go donate.
So this topic was a listener request, actually, which once again I felt like was a good fit because it is a little less intense than our Casey Anthony coverage. And also this suggestion is from someone who it's their birthday this week, one of our cool kids.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Maybe this is the birthday we're thinking of.
It might have been, yeah. So this is from our cool kid, Caitlin. Happy birthday. And thank you so much for the suggestion. I believe Caitlin is from South Dakota, so that's why.
Oh, perfect.
They wanted
I wonder if they're the one who replied to my story being like, come to South Dakota for your honeymoon. I promise not all of us suck.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of birthdays, God, I'm so stupid. Happy birthday to both my brother, Cameron, and my mom, Kelly. They both have their birthdays this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I said, whose birthday is it?
I know. And them.
Hi.
Happy birthday, guys. Love you.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the town of Deadwood, and then we're going to head on over to their most haunted location.
Hell yeah.
So Deadwood is a city in South Dakota, and it's located in the Black Hills area.
I heard that area is gorgeous.
It does look very gorgeous. I was looking at pictures of it. Stunning. But already we're working with a lot of like dreadful names here. We got Deadwood. We got the Black Hills. You know, it's a perfect location for
a little haunting.
I would say ghosts to pop up. So the Black Hills are known for their many national parks and for also being home to Mount Rushmore.
Yes. Oh, I've been to Mount Rushmore.
You've been to Mount Rushmore?
I have, yeah. When I was a kid.
Wow.
There's like a really funny picture of me in some jorts right outside. It's a lot smaller than you would think it was.
Oh, it looks huge.
I know. But like when you like look at it.
When you're there?
Yeah, it's like a lot smaller than you would think. Yeah.
Oh, now I want to go just to see how the sizing.
Yeah. And it also like apparently the reason they did that, well, I just found this out, was because it was like a sacred place to indigenous people and they did that like literally to be like, fuck you, basically.
Well,
oh, is that what you're about to say?
Literally my next sentence is, but most importantly, it was home to many native tribes such as the Lakota and the Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And there was actually a treaty that took place because there was like this whole court between these native tribes and the, I guess, American people or whatever.
Colonizers.
And the treaty literally ended up, after the court granted the land to these native people. And guess what we did?
Took it?
We took it
By
anyway.
force? Yeah.
We literally stole it anyway. And that's when Deadwood was created, but it was considered an illegal town because it was literally illegally stolen.
Yeah.
Crazy how that happens.
Insane that we look back on this and like are so aware of how evil and like terrible it is, and then we witness it day to day.
Yeah.
Currently, and everyone's like, well, what can you do? And it's like, you realizing that it's evil 100, 200, 300 years later isn't the way to do it. How about we start to try and stop it when it's happening, like live? Like, please, geez, Louise.
No, literally.
Yeah.
So all that aside, that fucking sucks. I know.
Yeah.
It blows. But Deadwood was created, and it was a mining town, and it had an initial population of about 5,000 people. But after gold deposits were found there in 1874, which was the, like, kind of the reason that the Black Hills Gold Rush soon happened. That's, of course, when more people decided to move there because everyone wants to live in a place with gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
There's gold in them damn hills.
Oh, you remember Gold? Remember the Austin Powers?
Oh, I remember,
movie?
yeah.
Gold.
I actually recently watched that movie and I was like, God, Mike Myers, you're a genius.
I love it.
He's so funny.
Love it.
Goldmember is the one with Foxy Cleopatra, right?
Yes,
Beyonce? Yeah.
Foxy Cleopatra.
And she's talking through that guy at the bar. That scene is so funny.
That scene is so good.
So funny. Yeah.
I probably need to watch that tonight.
That's
actually.
like Beyonce's top performance for me. I literally love that.
You've never seen Dreamgirls, but
I've seen Dreamgirls.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. Foxy Cleopatra is good though.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a whole lot of woman.
A whole lot of woman.
She's so good.
And she just looks hot in that outfit.
So hot.
And with the afro, she looks fucking awesome.
She's so hot.
Babe. Rock the afro, dude. You look good.
Seriously.
It looks so good.
Yes,
yeah.
Agreed. So after the gold rush, the population rose to about 25,000 people during its like peak. So this town was in the wild, wild west. Your favorite place. I'm a cowboy, remember?
Yeah, I forgot you're a cowboy now.
Hello.
You're a cowgirl. You're a cow matron.
No, I'm a cowboy.
Oh, you're a cowboy too?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm a cowboy,
I'm a
baby.
cowboy. Or I could be a cow matron. A cowtron.
Cowtron. Shortened to cowtron.
So in its heyday, it was known for being like real bad.
Okay.
Like there were no laws. People were being murdered pretty much every day, and nobody got in trouble for literally anything.
Yeah, why not?
What? Who cares? A few famous cowboys were known to frequent the town, such as Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane, who I call a cowboy because I think that is exactly what she would have wanted.
That's my girl right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She feels like a cowboy. She doesn't feel like a cowgirl.
No.
Like she wants to be a cowboy.
Yeah.
And these two are actually buried right next to each other in the Mount Moriah Cemetery that is also in town.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because they both died in town. Now, like I said, this town was real bad and filled with rough and tumble outlaws and gunmen and cowboys, and no one gave a fuck what anyone was doing until Seth Bullock and Solomon Starr moved their hardware store from Montana to Deadwood. Seth Bullock, he was actually the sheriff in his old town in Montana, and after he had been in Deadwood for a few months, they decided to appoint him to the first ever sheriff of the town.
Okay.
Because literally, like I said, there was no laws, so there was no sheriff. Because no one gave a fuck.
I love the show Deadwood, which is set in
Yes,
Deadwood.
no, it is.
Yeah.
And there's literally, I think there's a character. He's a character.
Yeah, Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant, yes.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Yes.
I was trying to be really cool about it and like
I
not
knew
be like, I know so much about this because I love Timothy Olyphant.
I had a weird feeling that you might have seen that show because when I looked it up, I was like, Timothy Olyphant.
I love Timothy Olyphant. I wrote my admissions paper to film school about Timothy Oliphant.
He's so hot.
Just because he's so talented.
And talented.
I like made my whole case about underrated character actors.
He's
and
definitely
how
underrated.
When they like show up in things, you're like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but like a lot of people don't know their names or like whatever. And then when they get leading roles, that like people are so excited and they do so well. Like
He's
Deadwood is so good.
insanely talented.
Yeah.
Honestly, this made me kind of want to watch Deadwood.
It's good.
Yeah, it seems
it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there is a Calamity Jane and a Bill Hickok character,
there
right?
are, yeah.
Love it. So, yeah, he's appointed as the first ever sheriff of the town. And I'm assuming this is because everyone is like sick of doing whatever they wanted and murdering people and whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't think people inherently like want to murder and rape and be evil. I think there's like 4 people out of every
and I would assume that
5,000 or whatever that want to do that. And so yeah, it would suck to just have these evil people doing all the evil shit. And you're like, yeah, can you get this under control?
Yeah, and then you have no one to go to be like, hey, they're doing these bad things.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want somebody to kind of like come in and be that person. Yeah, so he comes in and he's kind of that person that's going to start keeping order and clean up the town.
Yeehaw.
So Seth Bullock, he was a tall man with the thickest mustache you have ever seen in your entire life. I know you know him as Timothy Oliphant.
Yes.
But do you know what the actual Seth Bullock looks like?
No, show it to me.
Okay, look at this mustachioed man.
I'm going to love him, I'm sure.
This is the thickest mustache I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my gosh.
Look
You
at
were not
that
joking.
mustache.
Handsome dude though.
No, super handsome. Not Timothy Oliphant hot, but
Well, we can't all be Timothy Oliphant now, can we?
but that mustache
we
is
can't just be walking around in the world with multiple Timothys out there.
Listen. Once again, he is the evil version of Josh Duhamel in a good way.
I see. I feel
In
like
a
Josh
sexy
Duhamel
way.
is the evil one. Josh Duhamel looks way more evil to me.
No, I just think it's because Timothy Oliphant always plays evil characters and Josh Duhamel plays like the nice guy, but I do think their personalities are switched in real life.
Like like it would be like Wario and Mario.
Yeah.
Like Timothy Oliphant's Mario. Wario or Waluigi is Josh
Yeah, they're just
Duhamel.
always playing the different characters.
There's something about his aura.
I did meet him and he was kind of weird. Like he was nice, but he
I'm
was
sure
kind of
he's
weird.
nice. He just has evil eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not his fault.
No, that's
genetics just blessed him with evil eyebrows.
Both of them are stunning though.
Both of them are stunning and great actors.
Yeah.
Like really talented people. No hate for the record.
Yeah, no hate. All love.
I'm
I
pro
would
evil eyebrows.
marry either one of those men in a heartbeat.
She would marry and divorce and make a voodoo doll about either one of them.
Absolutely would, yes. So Seth Bullock, he was known to have a commanding presence that would gain instant respect from people, and he had these piercing gray eyes that people said he could literally stop a fight just with his gaze.
Okay.
I'm picturing, what's that Wild West music?
Right?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that, and then the tumbleweed goes by. You know it. Yep.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
know what
one.
I'm doing.
That's the one.
There's one thing I know, it's the Wild West intro music.
Yeah, and he just like stares.
Yeah.
Maybe one eye is like twitching. Yep.
There's like a weird bird or something that whistles in the
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the fight stops, you know? Mm-hmm. His grandson once said he could outstare a mad cobra or a rogue elephant.
Yeah, 2 things common in the Dakotas.
Which I would not want to get into a staring contest with either a mad cobra or a rogue
me
elephant.
either.
And also, like, where's the rogue elephant coming from?
Or the cobra. What are you talking about? You're in South Dakota.
That's true, but for some reason the elephant, just because the elephant's so much bigger, I'm like, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
Like, where is it?
Do you
Why
have
is it
shipped
rogue?
in specifically for this?
What is it doing?
Yeah.
Why is it here? Maybe the cobra's on its back.
They're working as a team.
And the cobra has a little hat,
no.
a little cowboy hat on.
The cobra, the rogue elephant have teamed up against our town. What do we do? You better call that motherfucker with the gray eyes. Stare them both down at the same time. I swear.
He'll stop him.
I spit into a milk pail or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, it tings every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's a really good spit.
So Seth Bullock, he owns this hardware store, like I said, that he brought in from Montana with his, I was going to say co-host, his partner. His podcast co-host.
She's got me on the brain.
He's also now the town sheriff. He was also the chief engineer of the fire department. And he also had been a senator by the time he was 22 years old.
Get
And
it?
He actually became really good friends with Teddy Roosevelt, who together, the two of them helped form the Yellowstone National Park.
Dude, that is the coolest thing that a president has ever done is like create a bunch of national parks and shit.
Yeah. And he did that with Seth Bullock.
Amazing.
Isn't that nice?
That is nice.
But this wasn't, like all of this, these accomplishments, that wasn't good enough for Seth. And now he wanted to start up a brand new business. So he and his co-host of his podcast, Soul Star, they decided to open up Deadwood's finest luxury hotel, the Bullock.
Point of the show, like he goes to Deadwood and starts like getting shit together.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there ghosts?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're making ghosts.
They're making because they're killing people.
Killing people.
Oh.
That's what I'm going to start killing people now. Well, we made another ghost last night.
I kind of like
I
that.
like that too.
Yeah. It feels more whimsical, but then it makes death seem whimsical or murder seem whimsical, and I don't know. We can't do that.
It's not ideal.
I guess we can't do that.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's none of our business.
This is the Wild West, guys. We weren't around.
We weren't there.
No.
We didn't wild anybody's west.
None of you guys were there. I know this for a fact, actually.
The
Okay?
only Wild West I know is Kanye. Okay? Get out of here.
That was a good one.
Thanks. It just came to me like a dream.
Okay, so the Bullock Hotel, this is obviously our haunted location today. It was built with pink and white sandstone that was actually like found from places in the area.
Mm-hmm.
There was a red velvet carpet laid down in the lobby with brass chandeliers, oak trim, and a grand piano.
Ooh, love.
There were 63 steam heated rooms upstairs with a bathroom on each floor. And there was also a library and a parlor right off the balcony. And on the first floor. Sorry, these Ollipops make me not be able to speak. I don't know what's going on.
They fuck with it good. They go straight to her brain.
Truly. And my butthole. I'm sorry.
He said no poop talk.
I didn't say poop. I said butthole. And on the first floor was a very fine dining restaurant that would serve meals such as lobster and pheasant.
Ooh.
Which doesn't really seem like a cowboy type of meal to me, but
Pheasant, yeah, for sure. You go pheasant hunting real easy.
yeah, but this is like a luxury. This is like a little tiny piece of pheasant with like stuff around it. You know
Some
what I mean?
quail egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little smear of like some pea.
Pea reduction.
Yeah. You know what it is.
Yeah. Like why mint and pea. Yeah.
He absolutely adored this hotel that he created. But about 25 years after it opened, in 1919, he died inside the hotel in his room, 211.
How old was he?
70.
Oh, okay. So he made it like a good, decent way.
I mean, for the Wild West, that's pretty fucking good.
The West was wilding, and he said, I'm still going to make it to
I feel like
the elderly age.
they didn't typically live past, what, 30, 40?
They were drinking, smoking, and shooting
And
guns.
Guns?
Guns?
No laws?
No, he was the law.
Not a single law.
He was the law.
I know. It's crazy. Throughout the years, this hotel has seen, a few different owners from time to time.
Uh-huh.
It definitely had to keep up with the times. Like a lot of renovations were going on. In order to make the rooms bigger, they had to reduce them from 63 to 28 rooms in total, which I believe is what it currently has.
I was going to say you have to do that because now you have to have bathrooms in
You
the
have to
rooms.
do that,
Is that what I sounded
Yeah.
like? Oh,
partner.
partner. Because you have to have bathrooms in your rooms
Yes,
now.
you do. Yes.
I lived in an apartment building that used to be a hotel, and you could tell that they like shoehorned
Yeah.
bathrooms into and that they like combined rooms to make a kitchen and a bathroom.
We also, our dorm room that we lived in.
Yeah, and
used
we had to
be
go-
a hotel.
And the kitchen was down in the lobby, and we were on the 8th floor. It was so
It
annoying.
was horrible.
And-
it was actually horrible.
And the elevators were broken like half the time.
Yeah.
So it was a walk up basically.
No, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
But of course, our friend Seth Bullock, he is reported to still be there monitoring his hotel to this day.
I support him.
Me too. Look at that mustache.
That's a mustache you can trust.
I mean, that's a mustache that's going to be here forever.
That's a mustache to believe in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mustache you a question.
Genuinely. See, that's what we're missing in today's politics. A mustache worth believing in.
Literally.
Give me a fucking cowboy who doesn't give a fuck what other people do with their lives and just like wants national parks.
And has a thick mustache.
That's like Teddy Roosevelt and has a Teddy Roosevelt had a thick ass mustache.
You guys, we're doing it all wrong.
I'm tired of these fascists with their skinny jeans and their poorly fitting suit jackets.
I'm tired, Grandpa.
If you're gonna be evil, at least be cool, right?
No, 100%.
I'm tired.
I'm
That's
tired
too
of this,
damn bad.
Okay, when you enter the hotel, at the hotel desk, like where you go to check in, there is a giant scrapbook that is just like right there. And it's filled with experiences that guests and hotel staff have had throughout the years inside the Bullock.
Yeah, it's like the Stanley.
Yeah. So people like to keep track of their paranormal experiences.
Which my dad recently just stayed in the Stanley Hotel.
Did he?
Yeah.
Does he have any?
I need to ask him.
Any
I don't know if
news
he's
for us?
I don't know if he's gone yet or not, but I knew he was going.
Oh,
sometime soon.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's an important.
I know. I totally forgot.
Wow.
You know him. He's a man of mystery.
Yeah, he is. That's so true. You're not wrong. One thing that Seth Bullock is known to do is to make sure that his employees are not being lazy and slacking off on the job. So, like, obviously, when he was alive, he was always there to make sure that his employees were, doing what they were supposed to be doing. So now, even in the afterlife, when the employees are kind of like standing around doing nothing, or they're bored, or they start to like lean on things or hum because they don't know what else to do, he makes sure to give them a little nudge to get back to work.
Brother, take it easy. All right.
Sometimes people need a break.
We have phones we can look at now. Okay.
It's so
it's
true.
like really fun to be bored now.
Yeah. My
Genuinely.
managers say, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
God, that pisses me off because I'm like, what if everything's clean? Okay.
What if I don't want to, though?
When I was, so I used to be like the day manager or whatever at a salon.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go and I would wax my armpits in the bathroom when we were slow.
I mean, you have all the stuff available to you.
Yeah. I was just like, I'm bored. What else am I going to do?
HOTTOGO.
Exactly.
And
sometimes it was really boring.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Or just like do my own hair or I'd give myself a facial, whatever. I think that's good.
I think,
and guess what? It made me work there a lot longer than I probably would have otherwise.
I think everyone needs a little break sometimes. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody makes mistakes.
That's right. But employees have said that they would feel like a little poke on their side from an unseen source.
Okay.
Plates and glasses have been seen shaking right before they fly off of the table in the restaurant. Appliances in the kitchen will just turn on by themselves and just like start whirling and making a ton of noise. And of course, the lights will blink several times. So that's what they believe is Seth's way of being like, get back to work, you rascals.
Yeah. Get busy or get gone.
The cleaning staff for the hotel, this is like my favorite thing that happens. They have often reported that once they get to room 211, which was known to be Seth Bullock's room, they will start to smell a very strong scent of a cigar, like it was just lit. Mm. The supply cart that they would leave outside the room when cleaning will often be just like moved completely down the hall. So when they turn around to go get more supplies, it's not in front of the door where they parked it.
Yeah.
And they go into the hallway and look, and it's all the way down the hallway.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Staff have also reported that after they have changed the toilet paper roll and they leave the bathroom to go get more supplies, they come back and the toilet paper is completely unraveled and scattered all around the bathroom. My cat has actually done that before.
Yeah.
Tesla, he's just like jumped up on the toilet paper roll and just unraveled the entire thing.
Used to do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fun. Or it was a ghost. Who knows?
Yeah.
What do I know?
Maybe it was them trying to frame our cats.
That's so real. The broken antique clock that sits in room 305 will just start chiming sometimes when the staff goes in to clean for absolutely no reason. Now, in 1990, Slot machines were actually put into the lobby on the first floor because, once again, they had to change with the times and gambling started becoming like a really big thing and slot machines were all the rage.
Yeah.
And Seth Bullock, allegedly, he was like this straight-laced man who didn't want his luxury hotel to be like subjected to that kind of stuff. He wanted it to be really fancy and a classy place, and slot machines are not necessarily classy.
Depends who you ask.
It depends who you ask, I was going to say, but you know. So this man was sent to the hotel in 1990 to set up these slot machines in the lobby. And that night, he actually stayed in one of the rooms at the hotel. Well, this was definitely his first and only time staying in the hotel because he was violently shaken awake in the middle of the night by an unseen entity who is believed to be Seth Bullock himself because he's not happy about these machines being in his lobby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On another occasion, a female staff member was sitting at the gambling check-in cage that was also located in the lobby. And she had a drink in a glass that was like on her desk. And she turned around only to hear the glass being thrown from the desk and crashing onto the floor.
Oh my goodness.
And shattering.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he was really just like, fuck you guys. You're making my hotel turn into Vegas. Yeah. And that's not what this is.
This is a classy establishment.
Is a classy joint. Guests that are staying in the hotel have also reported their alarm clocks going off by themselves, the television turning on when no one is around, and the shower turning on randomly throughout the night. One of the housekeepers actually said that one time she was cleaning the tub and the shower just turned on and started spraying her with water out of nowhere.
Sounds like the Queen Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when we stayed at the Queen Mary, it was the toilet that kept flushing.
Yeah.
Like at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was
and our tub turned on.
Did it?
And it had like the double, you had to like actually twist them. Like it could, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I very vividly remember the toilet flushing multiple times.
And it had like one of those pull toilets.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So aside from the typical cold spot that is found in some of the hallways and the rooms, and along with hearing a man's footsteps and a man whistling down the hallway, the full solid apparition of Seth Bullock has also been seen several times. He's usually walking up and down the halls on the second and third floor, and sometimes guests have reported hearing a male voice call their name, and then when they turn around, Seth's face is literally right there.
Ooh, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, like face to face, just glaring at them with that intense, infamous stare that he does.
Glaring at you like you're a rogue bull.
Like a rogue elephant.
Rogue elephant, yeah.
In South Dakota. On the street with a freaking cobra on your back.
Uh-huh. Who's wearing a small hat.
Yeah. That's a look that I want to give people.
Hell yeah.
One time a little boy was staying in the hotel with his parents, and he had like walked out of the room when his parents were getting ready and started walking up and down the hallways, like going into the lobby, like just doing things that little kids do.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting lost, and he was trying to find his way back to his room. And when he finally showed up back to the parents, he told them, the cowboy led me back to the room.
Aww.
Yeah.
So he helped him get unlost.
It's
He's like,
sweet.
can you stop being a fucking annoying ass kid and wandering around my hotel?
Yeah, he's like, this is a luxury hotel.
Where are your parents,
I
mister?
should have said no kids allowed.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Where are your parents, mister?
So let's go. And he grabs his hand, he marches him back up.
Yeah.
Like, the nice cowboy helped me. So Seth Bullock clearly is pretty much like the main ghost that is often seen and heard around the hotel. There supposedly another spirit that is seen in the cellar area. And the cellar area was a place during like the smallpox and typhoid era where people were kept to quarantine.
Got it.
So in the cellar, a little girl who is named Sarah, apparently, she is said to be seen often by guests, particularly downstairs in this area, just like in the upstairs rooms. When people are using the bathroom, the little girl is known to unroll the toilet paper.
Okay.
So hopefully you're not pooing when you're down there. Maybe hold it in. Maybe go upstairs in the lobby.
Go upstairs, yeah.
You know? Otherwise you're screwed, and then I don't know what to tell you. There's another story from an employee who was decorating an event because the cellar area is kind of like where they would hold all their events, like weddings and parties and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she was down there and she's filling up all these helium balloons. So as each balloon is filling up, they would rise to the top of the ceiling as a balloon does.
Makes sense.
And every couple of balloons that would go up, one would like come down real fast and then spring back up.
Like somebody grabbed
like
it.
a little kid was grabbing the balloons.
Got it. Okay.
Isn't that so creepy?
That is creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's the Bullock Hotel.
I want to go.
Yeah. It's a little history of Deadwood. You can still go visit the hotel. You can stay at the hotel. You can take a ghost hunting tour. And chances are if you go there, you will at least catch like an orb or two in your photos.
The show is really good too.
I want to watch the show.
You should.
No,
it's
it
like
was
a good show.
I was like looking at pictures and stuff, and that's when I saw like Timothy Oliphant, and I was like, ooh, I kind of want to watch this.
I love Timothy Oliphant. I love that show. It's just really well done. I don't know. Anything Western really gets me. Like I love Western movies to begin with.
You love Western stuff.
Yeah. But it's just, I mean, I think it's just a fun show.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think you'd really like it.
And now I'm in my cowboy era, so
yeah, you need to get ready for our bachelorette party.
So I need to take in all the cowboy content.
Yeah, you need to get ready.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Well, how about we round this episode out with a quick little listener story?
Let's do it.
So this is from Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Crystal G.
Hi, Crystal G.
And Crystal says, "Hi, ladies. I recently listened to episode 200 about dreams, and I remember this dream so vividly when I was pregnant back in 2022 till this day. When I was pregnant, my grandfather wasn't doing so well with his health. We were ready to fly him to Connecticut from Puerto Rico to take care of him, and I had a dream with my grandfather, and in my dream, we were picking him up to come home with us. He had his suitcase in his hand, but leaving the opposite way, saying goodbye. Writing this down is making me teary, LOL. The next morning, we got a phone call saying that he had passed away. I believe that my grandfather came into my dream to say goodbye to me when he was ready to go. It gets me choked up just thinking about this because I miss him so much. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time to read this. I love listening to your content every Wednesday. You guys make my day. Crystal G." That's Amanda's favorite story.
I love
She loves a visitation.
I love a visitation in any form, in a dream, in a sign, in just anything that can just, I mean, I'm currently watching the season of the Long Island Medium that came out last year.
Oh, she loves the Long Island Medium.
Because I didn't know that there was I didn't know she created a new show. I didn't know. And I got really excited.
What's it on?
Hulu.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's my shit right there. Love it.
Yeah, no, Amanda always says she hopes that people come back and visit her.
And no one ever does.
Your cats sometimes take stinky poops, your ghost cats.
Well, Erwin, I know for a fact did because I heard him in the litter box, and there was no litter box at the time.
Yeah, that was definitely him.
It was for sure him.
Thank you for sharing that. If you have a story you would like to share, you can do that at dtkpod.com/contact. You can also find our Patreon on there, ways to review us. If you haven't left us a 5-star review, whether that's on Spotify or Apple Music, please do that now. And it's so easy on Spotify. They don't even let you write a review. Just hit
click
that 5-star. And that means the world to us, and it makes a huge difference. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And most importantly, make sure you keep that front door locked.
Make sure you keep your mind open.
And keep drinking the Kool-Aid.